Hi, I'm Tracy Klass, and I would love for you to come and fress with me. Today, I welcome my co-host, Kate Pinchuk.
Hi.
And somebody who barely needs an introduction, Mitchell's Plain, born and fled, my darling, Kate Schoonraad. Today we're having tea. The reason we're having tea is when I phoned Kurt and I said, Kurt, please come and fress with me. And Kurt, do you know what fress is?
I'm assuming that it's a colloquial in your space. It's come and eat with me.
Yeah, but eat large amounts.
Oh, okay.
It fress. You are
It sounds very similar to the Afrikaans one then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, but that's a little more hardcore, and it's what animals do. So
Yes.
I don't think that's...
But the point is about fressing is that if you've ever seen, been to a function like a bar mitzvah or a brocha or something, fress is a good word. That's pretty hardcore.
I've been to...
It means the same thing, but I think Jews don't feel bad about it.
Okay, so...
We're fine with it.
So I have invited Kate. I phoned Kurt and I said, would you like to come and fress with me? And there was... You know when someone's a bit reluctant? You can hear it. Why were you a bit reluctant, Kurt? You need to explain this to us.
Okay, I'm a very fussy eater. All my friends know this.
So on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh, 9.5.
Okay.
Oh.
9.5. I don't eat anything with a sauce on it at all. So I'm the driest eater you have ever seen. It's like short of potpourri and biltong, that's about it, you know. So nothing with a sauce on it. Nothing kind of moist.
So how do you have a hamburger? Do you tell them not to put the basting on?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't mind the basting because it's on the fire and it comes off the fire. And it's what it is if you put on sauce after the fact, it's that different temperature and what it feels like in my mouth. It feels horrible. And
Okay.
so
Is it like a texture thing?
it's a texture thing.
Okay.
It's a temperature and a texture thing. Like also mayonnaise, for example,
Yes.
is my like uber hate vibe. Right?
Why?
Who puts eggs and vinegar in the same jar? It's not right. You know, you can't. Two of the most hectic smelling things in the same jar. It's too much.
It
It's
tastes
just
so
too
good
much.
though.
So no potato salad?
Absolutely not.
Oh my
no
gosh.
way. No, I couldn't do it. Or you're gonna try and go and do an SAA flight, for example, and find something without mayonnaise.
It's true.
Honey, find an SAA flight that just goes. Okay, I'm
Find an SAA flight.
Find SAA, actually. Just find SAA.
Well, you know, almost all domestic airlines, except for the one or two that serves you a packet of chips, you know, you can't find anything without mayonnaise. Also, I suspect mayonnaise because it's always masking something else.
Listen,
Can we eat?
I want.
Sorry, the show is, it's about eating. So.
Yeah, she needs to fress. But
I
now,
do need to
okay, now I just want to explain a few things to you. Okay.
I love that.
Over there. This is called my brocha basta. It's
So
what I
good.
use when I go to Jewish functions and I need something and there's something.
on the other side
and
of the
Mrs.
table.
Golovkin's between me and the person then.
Yes, I'm like, you got to watch your eyeballs here as well.
Yeah,
So, ginger cake.
Love ginger cake.
Auntie Edie's ginger cake. This is my mother's very famous recipe. The thing about this cake, it's what it's called parov. It means there's no dairy in it, so we can have it after meat. So if we have a meat meal, we could have ginger cake and we can also have chiffon cake. Both of them
Or dairy free.
are dairy free, okay? Over there is the antithesis. This is probably my all-time favorite. It's straight out the shtetl, babe. That's Lokshen pudding.
Okay.
Lokshen is like noodles,
Yeah.
but with cheesecake,
Yes.
and then mixed all together and baked. So it's
Okay, so there's not a lot of sauce in there.
no sauce in there.
Fabulous.
In fact, there is something so dry, it's like droog, a meringue.
Yeah, it's for
A
you.
meringue.
A meringue.
Fantastic.
But you can put on the meringue, you can put a little bit of fruit and some cream, just so that it's not
Does
too
cream
dry.
count as sauce?
The cream is not sauce, even though it has a similar consistency, but I know that it's cream, so it's fine.
That's right. And then over there is probably my all-time favourite.
Yeah.
And I will be a disclaimer to camera. I didn't make these. I bought them from Goldie's because this. You need a degree in baking to get
that one over
right.
there.
That one.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
it's like a cook sister, but it's not fried in oil. It's boiled in syrup. If you have any loose teeth or anything that might chip, not a tegel.
So it's like a Jewish Wilson block.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
All right.
So that's a tegel.
Biscuit.
And
Donut biscuit, I like that.
That's a tegel. This is a babka. It's a giant cinnamon bun. And it's glorious.
I look forward to that.
Over there is an updated, that's a bulka, which is a small babka.
Okay.
Okay. And that's got sauce on it. That's
Baba
cream
babka.
cheese, and that's like a cinnamon bun with cream cheese.
All right.
And then over here is just a very, very plain, gorgeous biscuit called a stuffed monkey.
This one, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a...
Can you say that to camera nowadays?
I don't know. I was thinking penny sparrow. I was wondering if
As long
I'm
as
going
you
to
don't have it printed on a t-shirt, you're
As long,
right.
so a stuffed monkey will land you up in jail, okay? I was worried about that. And then, of course, over there is just a carrot cake.
Love carrot cake.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So, and just in case you just don't want something just sweet,
Okay.
nothing wrong
What's
with a
what-
salmon bagel. Just a bagel with butter and smoked salmon and...
That's it.
What's going on over here? The cheesecake you didn't introduce.
Well, I didn't make it.
Tracy.
I don't like cheesecake.
Tracy.
What?
I don't like cheesecake.
Who doesn't like cheesecake?
Why?
I don't like cheesecake.
Have you had it?
Darling, I've tried at every bar mitzvah, at every wedding, I've tried cheesecake.
Okay.
You know what? There are other things that I would rather have my calorie count.
There's only one thing I have to say about you not liking cheesecake. More for us.
Yes. So I'm going to pour you a cup of tea, and then here's your plate, and just help yourselves, and we're going to chat away.
Fantastic.
So, Kurt, are you enjoying that chiffon cake?
That would be an understatement, Tracy. That's fantastic.
Can I have a little bit of chiffon cake?
So, as you can see, I'm just going to bring it here. So,
Oh, that is good.
Very good.
it's probably the plainest cake that you can have. It's just you just don't get plainer than this.
But that's exactly why it's so divine. It's so soft.
It's soft
And light.
and just remember that you can't cut a chiffon like that. You have to slice it because otherwise you're going to squash it into nothing.
Oops.
So now,
Like feeding a
Kurt,
cloud.
Yeah.
I want you to tell Kate what the comedy scene was like
Thank you, Kate.
Sure.
in South Africa, really. Because what happened in Cape Town was a microcosm, really.
Yeah.
When we started in 1999,
Man,
when you just had old white men telling, I'll never forget being at the Ritz Plaza in the 70s. And sorry, a comic was there and somebody walked into the room from the toilets and he said, "Could you hear us in there?" And she said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, we could hear you." So that was the level
yeah.
of the joke. It was like bad heck. They were like internet jokes before the internet.
Well, there was that too, especially for the newer guys that didn't know where else to start. And then there was this whole other movement of really amazing South African comedy. What it was, I think, was we had just gotten over that apartheid thing. Well, shit, we haven't gotten over that apartheid thing. Let me rephrase that. We had just gotten out of that apartheid space. And people were allowed to move around freely, and people were allowed to be wherever they wanted to be. And stand-up comedy we felt like it was a vehicle to narrate these stories that we couldn't tell before.
Right.
And all of us had something to say, and we just weren't allowed to say it before then. And then all of a sudden the stage pops up, and this whole stand-up comedy phenomenon started up. And not only were people saying stuff, but they were celebrated for saying it too. And I was very lucky to be involved in it. Both of us were right at the beginning of the South African stand-up comedy space. And there was also a need from an audience to get involved with it. They were very keen. I mean, I crap you not. In the first 2 years of comedy, I went from having a business that was doing okay to the business was in the way.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
The business was just in the way. It was taking up too much of my time, and I had to go pro very quickly.
That's incredible. That's not how it is now.
Not at all. There were 10 of us in the whole business in Cape Town, which
Right.
Tracy and myself were 2. Which
Right.
means we were working, I was working 5 nights a week.
Oh,
But I was setting up the spotlight, testing the sound, doing the comedy, striking it
and
down, putting it in the car, taking it home.
And the stage, I mean, how many times did we perform on a beer crate?
Man.
No stage, you took 4 beer crates, hope to God you didn't step through the crate.
And there was...
At Dirty Dick's.
Man, Dirty Dicks, that was a hard gig in Hart Bay.
was that an actual place?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was called Dirty Dicks, and nobody wanted to be there and listen to comedy at the same time. They were there
Right.
to drink.
Oh,
right?
okay, yeah.
So to get their attention was something else.
yeah.
And and eventually it warmed up, and people came for the comedy after a while. And then, I mean, love them or hate them, Sam Pierce and Mark Sampson did a big part of the catalyst that made this whole thing work in Cape Town. They set it up, really. They gave us an understanding as to how it works. And I mean, if it wasn't for Mark and Sam, I don't think I would have started the comedy club.
None of us would have.
No.
Really?
No. And then at one stage there were more comics per capita in Observatory than the rest of the world. Like Kagiso Lediga, Tsepo Mogale, David Cow,
I didn't
myself,
know
Nick
started in
Rabinowitz.
Cape Town.
No, not Nick
No, Nick never moved out of
sorry.
Constantia to Observatory.
Stuart Taylor. We all lived within 20 meters of each other. Really,
That's
all of us.
amazing.
The whole, I mean, this includes the Joburg industry right now.
Yeah.
And Mark Lottering also lived in Obs at one stage.
Whoa.
David Isaacs from Joe Barber lived down the road. So there was a whole lot of comedy happening in like 4 roads in Obs.
There's still, now it's just one road.
Yeah.
I like the last time I did comedy, I did a gig on Lower Main Road in Obs, and then I got off stage and walked down the road to my next gig.
Yeah.
It's that Obs, Lower Main Road.
But what I want to ask, Kurt,
Amazing.
is that what was the content? I know you were doing Mr. Brain Cheese.
Yes.
But you were saying you were allowed to say things that you couldn't say. Give me, for instance, give me the idea.
Man.
Talk to me about what you felt you were free enough to say now.
Can I be free enough to say, did you make up meringue?
I made that meringue.
Yeah.
Yes, I did make
Thank
those
you.
meringues. And there's cream to go with the meringues, and there's fruit. Sorry.
You know, we were allowed to say shit that we were not. Well, it's not that we weren't allowed to say it in public or company, but we were pretty cocky about what we were saying and how we were saying it. Like, we would mess with stereotypes for the first time ever. People weren't talking about stereotypes, we just experienced it. And coloured people were over there, and the white oaks were over there, and the black cats on the other side. But we weren't allowed to approach each other in any kind of meaningful comedic narrative. We never were. So I would take that on, like being stopped by the cops, for example. That gag it still works today, based on the fact that the audience is not expecting the punchline. And the punchline is, so I said, I'm from Mitchell's Plains. He said, yeah, can you prove it? So I said, I stabbed him. And it was something that we all, it just wasn't said in public. That kind of thing was never said. And when we dropped the punchline, people would and slap their thighs and be like, I can't believe he said that. But it was funny. And we were making fun of politicians and calling them out on their shit. We wouldn't know, no one ever did that before. And stand-up comedy became this voice of our generation at the time, where we could say shit, we could speak truth to power in a way we could never, ever do it before. And we were taken seriously. In fact, celebrated in most ways. And that was cool. It was cool. I think a lot has changed now. The industry is a lot bigger. It's a lot harder to break into it. But also, I don't think the standard is where it was.
Agreed.
The standard in that, and don't judge me too harshly on this one, in that there are, back then, being funny was it. There was no political boxes to tick. You weren't booked based on where you came from and what kind of quota you're filling up. You were funny, you get on a stage, you rock it, off you go.
Excuse me, except for that big comedy jam that you and I did, and where I died on my ass and in front of 3,000 people. It was a coloured man, a woman, and who was the third person?
What was it now again?
It was you and me and...
What was the other?
The Joburg comics with John Flissmith and Mel Miller.
Yes.
And Al Prodgers, maybe, I'm not sure.
But one of those. I can't remember exactly what the lineup was, but I remember
we were definitely filling quotas in that.
Also, there were only so many, there were 20 comics in the whole country.
But Kurt, I was not a comic. I had been doing stand-up at the workshop for all of 6 months. I love it when I hear the young kids today going, so what do you do? I'm a stand-up. No, honey, you stand on stage and you tell jokes. 5 years' time, tell me you're a stand-up.
Yeah.
But not now.
I mean, I think it's really hard. It's harder because it's more oversaturated. There's more people. You know, now because you have the option of having, like, if you have a monthly show, the likelihood is you're not going to get booked more than once a year because there's enough comedians for that to roll around.
Sorry,
pull it closer.
Wait, I'm going to do that because we're not getting overwhelmed by food here, and I do want to try the. So, Kurt, this is a lokshen pudding, babes. This is like.
This is the pasta one you're talking
about. You just got to try this, okay?
Okay.
I love it. It's something that we have for dessert.
Just a piece for me, please.
No, I'm dishing for myself as well. And you do not have to eat anything you don't like. So talk about being attacked, Kurt. I remember the time you were attacked at the comedy club for talking about coloured people.
No.
Please elaborate.
What?
Yeah.
No, I mean like horribly attacked as well.
Really?
During the show.
On stage?
On stage.
Oh my gosh.
Some English guy got up and says, "You can't use that fucking word, coloured people. Where the fuck do you think you are?" I said, "Sit down, pussy. You got no idea what you're saying. Sit down. Okay? Sit down." Because what he had was, his missus was a person of colour.
Okay.
A mixed race goose, right? And he felt very offended that I was using the word coloured. And I said, "Man, you don't understand the context. In this country, right. I am coloured. So if I'm not allowed to speak about it, then who is?"
Yeah.
And he had a couple of dopes in as well, so he was not taking any of my shit, you know.
Oh my gosh.
And this was during the show.
Sure.
In the middle of a show. I was headlining at the time. I was doing my last 10 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
And the crowd got involved in the thing, and eventually they told him to fuck off. He didn't understand. He couldn't understand what was going on. But this is like, that's where you said subjective, and it could be a geographical subjection as well.
Yeah,
sometimes
100%.
it's like he just didn't understand the context of the word coloured in this particular space. Right. And who he was speaking to.
Yes.
And about.
Sorry, not who, but who I was and what I was speaking about and how that was related.
Yes.
And he just found it extremely offensive.
Because he's only relating to it from like his own experience.
Exactly. I tried to calm him down first. I said, "Listen, bro, I don't think you understand what I'm trying to get across here, but I can check where you're coming from. But let me explain it to you." He was like, "Fuck you, mate." What was this? The lokshen pudding? I'm going to try
this is lokshen. Here, Bubby, you've got a knife there.
I do have a knife.
Kurt, has there ever been in your career, like you stood on, have you ever walked off stage? Have you ever said, "I can't do this"?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yes.
When?
Wow, I'm waiting for this.
I know the chewing was
No, not the chewing. I mean, I've walked off.
I just thought chewing was building a lot of
No, it's
suspense.
not building up here. I'm just going to have a straw.
Building suspense.
I've done a lot of really shit gigs that you guys will never ever believe. Where there was just no reason for me being there at all. Really. One of the worst gigs I've ever had where I walked off was at the mining in Durban about 4 years ago.
Oh, we're talking big money now.
Yeah, this is a big money corporate gig, right? This was double my usual fee type of vibe. It was at the Arabella in Claremont. And I've got quite a very crisp and strict kind of show rider that comes along with my contract. It goes, there will be a good quality sound, there will be a good quality microphone, these are the specs, there will be no less than this, that kind of thing, right? And I included another thing on that rider based on this particular gig, and that was that the audience has to be within 4 or 5 meters of me.
Yes.
Clever,
What happened was some genius thought it was a great idea to throw 3 separate parties on the lawn outside.
No.
I shit you not, 100 meters apart. It's a huge front lawn in the Arabella.
Oh.
There was, and it was all themed. There was like the Shabine theme on that side over there. It was set up in a certain way, and there was the Tea Party theme outside over there, and there was another theme on it. Literally, so what they did was they put me on a bridge on the pool in between all of these people, right? And the MC had introduced me, and this is what it sounded like, because 100 meters is a fucking long shot. The spotlight operator was another 100 meters on that side over there, no? And this is what happened. I went
And
on
this is
stage.
all pre-COVID.
This is way pre-COVID.
5 years ago.
Hi guys.
Oh my
And I did this for about 10 minutes. And I realized at that stage that no one realized I was there.
I'm sorry.
It's horrible. No one realized I was there. The parties were going on. I caught a glimpse of each party.
No.
And then
Why did they book you?
I don't think
they wanted a comedian, and the big dinner party was the following night, and that's where I would have worked best.
Yeah.
But no, they thought it would.
People
And then, wait, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet.
Wait.
And then there was another gig that I had in the Drakensberg one night at a corporate conference where they get all their salespeople together from all of the different branches in the country, and it was some pharmaceutical company. The same guys that are going the vaccines at the moment. I can't remember which one. I think it was Pfizer. Anyway, so what happened was they clearly didn't read my rider. And it wasn't a dinner at all. It was a braai at a lapa. And they had organized a little mobile speaker on wheels and a microphone attached to it.
He says Laney. He says Laney.
I
You
had to
walk around.
I had to walk around in between Oaks braaiing and having brandies with Cokes, right? And I remember thinking, for all intents and purposes, I could just turn this down, I can go home, my contract would be covered. But I'm thinking, fuck it, I actually want to do this job. These people have paid a lot of money to have me here. So I did it. And I mean, listen, they laughed at all the funny parts, but it was shit. It was crap. Man, how much time do you have? I've got a clump gigs like that. It's especially the corporate stuff. We're gonna keep you as a surprise. That means
Why? Why would you do that?
So what happens is they would have recognized me from the Going Nowhere Slowly series at the time. It was very popular. So what they wanted to do was keep me towards the end of the gig, bring me out to do this
But then you
comedy
must,
set.
hide somewhere.
But now I'm sitting next to all the fucking broken chairs and tables in the back of the building somewhere, and someone's bringing me some plate of food and the rats running by. I'm like, fuck no, man.
Oh, no.
I don't want to do this. That's a shit.
Because you were the surprise.
That was a surprise. I was like, surprise, I'm a bit of a poo-poo, aren't I?
Yeah.
Golf, I do not do golf days because a man has gone to play 18 holes of golf and then he's sitting at the 19th hole getting fraught. He doesn't need to listen to a 55-year-old. This aren't what he's left behind at home. He does not want to listen to me hucking him at Chinex to come home.
I got to share this golf day story with you. A few years ago, also got booked to do a golf day. And this new broom sweeps clean theory. There's this very young goose who's running the event, right? And she's late 20s tops, and she's dressed to the nine. She's got all the little bits, right? The little clipboard, and she's like, so I tune her. She goes, we're gonna put you on after the prize giving. So I go, I'm sorry, girlfriend, no offense, but that's not a good idea.
Because people have you.
That's not a good idea. Put me on let me do the prize giving. I'll do the comedy in between the prizes. 'Cause
Correct.
that's how we do it, right?
Absolutely.
And I swear to you, this is what she told me. Listen, man, you do your job, I do my job, we'll be fine.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, okay. I do these every fucking day.
Yes.
But okay, all right, I'll do it, okay. So what happened was, just as I said, because I told her, these oaks teed off at 6:30 this morning. They've been there all day, they've got their prizes, they're going to disappear without saying goodbye. They're just going to get up and skedaddle off, get in their cars and go home. They've got wives and kids waiting for them. So what had happened was, by the time I was due up, she realized that there was 10 people in the room. And then she tried to get people out of the parking lot to come back to watch the comedy. Now they're standing there with their prizes and their jackets over their arms watching this comedy shit. I must have did about 15 minutes of my allocated 45 and then went, guys, thanks very much for coming. I can see you oaks are dying to get home. High five everybody, see you later. As you were. She refused to pay the balance of my performance gig the following day. Well, of course, I've got a very good agent, Catherine. She just sent her a copy of the contract and highlighted the certain parts of it over there. And eventually they paid for it. It was a big company.
People often don't trust comedians to know how to do their job.
Yep.
And that the comedian has done this more than you. But also, just comedy isn't always right. I hate going to gigs where there's a musician on before me because that's not the same.
No, it's different.
Yeah, listening to a musician is is very different to listening to a comedian. Listening to a musician is like a bit ignoring. You can be on your phone and it's okay.
Background is fine.
Yeah.
This is one I get. Now what happens is you'll be on stage and they'll just be like milling around. No. That's a cuck idea. Get a musician then.
Yeah.
Don't get me. Because then it's background and it's fine. But comedy requires your attention. It requires your attention.
Yeah. And don't you love it? You're standing there and you can see it. You're at a corporate and you just know they're there for the free booze and you are actually taking up their drinking time.
Yeah, they're in the way of
there to get fraught on the company. The company is paying for everything, and now you are telling jokes and they don't want to listen to you.
Man, I got a great way to end that gig when I know that I just can't win here. I was fantastic and you guys were quite cuck. Thank you. Cheers. Good night.
So I want to thank you all for coming and I hope you enjoyed Fressing with me.
Thanks for having us.
All the food that you see on the table is available at the Oranjezicht Farm Market. You can pop by the market and pick up some takeaways. You can buy cake by the slice or you can order on our WhatsApp number which is 062 534 3921, and that's not the fucking number at all.
2139. We can do it off camera.
But you wanted me to go. Here's the number.
3921.
Do you know what I really fucking hate? Is when people get the rhythm of the fucking phone number wrong. They go like this: 0823. Like a fuck no. 082 and then the rest. So we're in three, so we can consume it.
Thank you for coming, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
It was my pleasure, my darling. And thank you for eating, as
Always a pleasure.
And thank you all for joining us in Come Fress with me, and we'll see you in the next episode. All the food you've seen today is available on order on WhatsApp, this number, 063 534 2139. Alternatively, pop past the Oranjezicht Farm Market on a Saturday or Sunday and see what we have at our store, Taste of Class. We look forward to seeing you and thank you for joining us on Come Fress with me.